I'm Nina Blake. I'm 33. And if you had told me a year ago that my little sister would build a whole career on a story where I'm the dying main character, without my permission, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are. I've always been private. I teach 4th grade in Portland. Nothing flashy. I live alone in a 1-bedroom rental with old hardwood floors and a bathtub that takes forever to drain. My social life is small but real. 2 close friends, a few coworkers I trust, and my parents who live out in Bend. And until recently, my sister Emily. Emily's always been loud, charismatic. She can charm her way through anything, or at least that's how it's always looked from the outside. Growing up, she was the one who wore eyeliner in 8th grade and got away with it. I was the kid with book reports done early and no idea how to lie. We were close in our own way. I protected her when she got caught sneaking out. She made me feel less invisible in high school. Last year, though, I got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Stage 2. It flipped everything. Chemo took me apart piece by piece. I lost my hair. My job went on hold. I had surgery, then more chemo. My friends dropped off one by one because cancer makes people uncomfortable. And Emily? She didn't show up. Not once. She called sometimes, texted with a thinking of you or a dumb meme. But she never came to a single treatment, never helped me get groceries, never even visited. And I didn't expect her to, not really. We lived in different cities. She had her own stuff going on. Her last startup had just gone under, and she was couch surfing in LA, looking for a job. I figured she was struggling, and I didn't want to burden her. So I didn't ask for anything. Fast forward to 8 weeks ago. I'm in remission, finally. Trying to piece my life back together, one bill and one good day at a time. Then one night, my old college roommate, Sarah, sends me a message out of nowhere. Nina, have you seen this? Attached is a link to an article in some glossy LA lifestyle blog. There's a big photo of Emily, beaming, holding a mic at a Women in Tech conference. The headline reads, "How One Woman Turned Family Tragedy into a Mission for Good." My stomach sank before I even started reading, but I read every word anyway. It described Emily's journey from loss and struggle to purpose, claiming she'd been her sister's sole caregiver during a long cancer battle, that she'd put her life on hold, that she'd started volunteering with cancer support groups because watching her sister fade away had changed her forever. And apparently that story helped her land her current job at a major nonprofit that funds medical research. A job she'd apparently gotten 6 months earlier, while I was still going through treatment. I read the article 3 times. I wish I could say I felt numb, but I didn't. I felt everything. Betrayed, exposed, violated. Like I was reading my own death certificate written in someone else's handwriting. And I wish that were the end of it. But then, because curiosity is a damn drug, I kept digging. I clicked on the nonprofit's page. I found videos, panels, Instagram reels, quotes, her TEDx talk. All of them with one common thread. Me. Her version of me. The sick, tragic sister who changed her view of life. The catalyst for her personal brand. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I found the GoFundMe. A photo of me bald in a hospital bed, taken during my 2nd round of chemo. I never posted that anywhere. I had sent it privately to my mom and Emily in a text to let them know I was okay after surgery. The campaign raised over $27,000, and I hadn't seen a single cent. That was the moment something inside me cracked. Not broke, changed. This wasn't just about a lie. This was about someone I trusted using the worst part of my life as a career move. This was about my pain becoming her leverage. And as I sat there in the dark, scrolling through all the praise, the likes, the hearts, the "you're such a hero" comments, one new notification popped up on her feed that made my blood run cold. Excited to announce we're starting production on a short documentary about my sister's cancer journey. Filming begins next month. What documentary? What story? I never agreed to be in a damn movie. I didn't sleep that night. I laid there in the dark with my laptop still open on the bed, the glow of Emily's fake life burning into my eyes. I kept replaying it. Her TEDx talk, her speeches, the captions on her social media posts. She spoke with such emotion, like she'd actually been there, holding my hand through chemo, like she'd earned every tear she let drop in front of an audience. The truth? The last time Emily saw me in person was the Christmas before my diagnosis. She'd brought a new boyfriend and barely looked up from her phone. I had just gotten my biopsy results and hadn't told anyone yet, not even my parents. I remember watching her that night thinking, she's finally calming down a little. And now here she was, my guardian angel, my caregiver, my light through the darkness, according to the bio on her organization's speaker page. She wasn't just telling this story, she was living off it. Around 4 a.m., I finally sat up and opened a new browser tab. I typed in, how to report fraudulent fundraising campaigns. It felt surreal, like I was planning to report my own sister. But what else could I call it? She raised nearly $30,000 on my name, on my diagnosis, and I hadn't even known the fundraiser existed. By noon that day, I'd filed a formal request with GoFundMe's trust and safety team. I included screenshots, a copy of my diagnosis, and a copy of my current medical bills, ones I'd paid myself with my dwindling savings and some emergency grant support from the teachers' union. I thought that would be the hardest part, hitting send on that form. But it was nothing compared to what came next. Within 48 hours, someone from GoFundMe contacted me directly. They were professional and kind, but the message was clear. The fundraiser had been linked to a bank account under Emily's name. All withdrawals had been completed. Every cent had been moved. And based on the timestamps, most of the money had been withdrawn during the same weeks I was in the hospital. Let that sink in. While I was vomiting up my stomach lining from chemo, Emily was buying $18 cocktails at rooftop bars in West Hollywood, on a fund that claimed to be for my medical care. I started going through everything, our old texts, shared Google folders, photos. And I found the worst of it in a place I didn't expect, an old email chain between us. Years ago, when I was applying for my teaching license renewal, I'd scanned my birth certificate and driver's license and sent them to Emily so she could help me fill out a form. I trusted her. She was my sister. That's how she got my ID. That's how she submitted that fundraiser in my name. That's how she pulled the photo of me from the hospital bed. I'd sent it to her directly, with the words, "Don't show this to anyone, okay? I just want you to know I'm still here." She used that moment, my most raw, scared, stripped-down moment, and turned it into currency. And the worst part? No one else seemed to question it. Not her new friends, not her coworkers, not the donors. Everyone just believed her, because she had the perfect story. The brave woman who gave up everything to support her dying sister. It made people feel good to believe it. That's what made me sick. I went quiet for a few days, didn't answer my mom's texts, ignored the stack of unopened mail by the door. I was afraid that if I said a single word, I'd unravel into something I couldn't pull back together. But then something strange happened. A woman named Melanie, who listed herself as the events coordinator for Emily's nonprofit, emailed me directly. Very politely. Very cheerfully. Subject line, "So excited to meet you for filming," she wrote. "Hi, Nina. I'm coordinating logistics for the upcoming short doc about Emily's story and your inspiring bond. We're hoping to shoot the first round of interviews next week. Will you be available Tuesday or Thursday?" I read it 3 times, like maybe I had misunderstood the words. I hadn't. They were about to film a documentary. About me. About my inspiring bond with the woman who hadn't even held my hand when I thought I was going to die. I didn't reply. Not yet. But I knew one thing. If they were going to tell a story about me, I'd make damn sure it was the truth. It's wild how quickly a lie can grow when no one questions it, and how lonely it feels to be the only one standing in the truth. The email from Melanie haunted me for days. I didn't answer it. I couldn't. Not until I figured out what the hell I was going to do. It wasn't just a film crew anymore. It wasn't just a speech or a blog post. Emily was about to put my face, my body, my scars, my story on camera for strangers, for clout, and she hadn't even had the decency to ask. I paced my apartment for hours that night. I couldn't sit still, couldn't eat. I opened old text threads with Emily just to remind myself I wasn't imagining things. All those months of silence, all those ignored calls. She hadn't been my caregiver. She hadn't even been my sister. And now? She was about to win awards for how beautifully she'd suffered on my behalf. I didn't want revenge. I wanted my name back. I wanted the world to know she hadn't earned this, that she didn't get to collect applause for a performance that nearly ended my life. So I did what any quiet, tired teacher with a pile of receipts would do. I got methodical. I printed out everything. Screenshots of her posts, the GoFundMe withdrawal logs, the email from Melanie, my medical records, the photo she used without consent. And I made a folder. Not a dramatic move, not an angry one, a quiet one. Intentional. Because if they wanted to tell a story, fine, I'd give them one. I called a lawyer, pro bono through a legal aid referral for identity misuse cases. Her name was Kara. She listened to me for nearly an hour without interrupting. Then she said, "You're not being dramatic. This is textbook misappropriation and possibly wire fraud, depending on how the fundraiser was managed." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. This wasn't just a sibling lie anymore. It was a crime. And that's when something inside me finally flipped. I stopped feeling ashamed. I stopped wondering if I was overreacting. I stopped thinking like a victim. I emailed Melanie back. Calm, polite, direct. I told her I'd be happy to speak with her, but I had a few questions first. What exactly would the documentary cover? What footage of me had already been used? Had anyone obtained signed consent for my story, name, or medical details? I CC'd Kara on the email. That got their attention. The next day, I got a call. Not from Melanie, but from the director of communications at Emily's nonprofit. Her voice was careful. Too careful. Like someone walking across glass barefoot. "We're so sorry," she said. "There seems to have been a miscommunication. Of course, we'll pause everything until we can clear this up with your sister." I didn't buy it for a second, but it gave me room to breathe. I thought maybe this would scare Emily enough to back off, to disappear quietly before things got worse. But I was wrong, because that night, around 10:30, I got a notification, a tag, on Instagram. Zemily B, The Change. She'd posted a selfie, full face of makeup, big soft lighting, captioned, "It hurts when people you love try to rewrite history. But I'll keep telling my truth, even when it's hard. Some stories deserve to be told." And under it, a teaser clip from the documentary, with my hospital photo blurred out, but still there. My story, my diagnosis, me. She knew exactly what she was doing. If she couldn't use my name, she'd use the narrative. Twist it just enough to skate under the line. But here's what she didn't know. What no one knew yet. While she was posting inspirational captions, I had already submitted a full report to the Oregon Department of Justice. And I wasn't the only one. That morning, a woman named Gina H. had left a comment under Emily's post. "Funny. I donated to your fundraiser thinking it was for your actual sister. My friend's in remission, too. She never saw a dime. Interesting." I clicked on Gina's profile. We had one mutual follower, my old coworker, from the hospital, the one who'd taken the picture of me in that bed. And suddenly it all made sense. Emily hadn't just stolen from me. She'd stolen the photo from someone else's phone, someone I trusted, which meant someone close to me had helped her. I don't think I've ever known rage like I did in that moment. Watching Emily's smug little post, her words dripping in false humility, my image blurred just enough to avoid a lawsuit, but still mine. Still my story, my illness, my grief, my fucking body. I couldn't sit still. My hands were shaking, and it wasn't from fear anymore. It was fury, pure, cold fury. That post was her shot across the bow. She wanted to scare me, to let me know she was willing to go public, to dare me to push back. So I did. The next morning, I drove to the nonprofit's office in LA without calling ahead. I'd taken the weekend to book a flight, print a binder of evidence, and mentally rehearse every word I'd say. No lawyer, no warning. Just me, a schoolteacher from Portland, walking into the glass tower my sister had conned her way into. The receptionist didn't know what to do with me when I asked for the director. I handed her a sealed envelope with a very polite note, a legal cease and desist drafted by Kara, and a printed screenshot of Emily's post, circled in red like I was a high school teacher grading bullshit. I said, "You might want to give that to your legal team before you approve any edits on the documentary." I didn't stay long. I didn't need to. I left my contact information, told them I'd be available for a statement if needed. Then I walked back to the elevator like I wasn't trembling inside. And as I waited, I heard someone call my name. "Nina?" I turned. It was Melanie, the events coordinator who'd emailed me weeks before. Her face was pale. She stepped out from a side hallway, clearly caught off guard. I didn't know," she stammered. "I just assumed, I'm sorry." I held her gaze. "You believed what you wanted to believe." She nodded, eyes brimming with guilt. "The doc's been pulled. As of this morning, the board's reviewing everything." I didn't say thank you. I just nodded once, turned, and left. That night, back at my hotel, I opened my inbox to find an unsigned email from a generic address. tips@truthjournal.org. No subject line, just a message. "You're not the only one," she used. "She's done this before. Want proof?" Attached were 2 audio files. I almost didn't open them. I stared at my screen, my heart hammering, something deep in my gut already knowing this wasn't going to be about just me anymore. The first recording was Emily, laughing, clearly drunk. A woman's voice in the background asked, "So, you really faked the fundraiser?" Emily replied, "Fake is a strong word. I just exaggerated a bit." She never asked for it back. Then the second recording. Same woman, different setting. It was quieter. She said, "I feel sick. I helped you set that up. You said she knew." And then Emily's voice, cold, measured. "She's not going to do anything. Nina's a survivor, sure, but she's weak where it counts. She'd rather protect the family than start a war." I sat frozen, because the voice in that second recording, the one confronting Emily, it was my old friend Jen, the one who worked at the hospital, the one who took that photo of me in the bed, the one I trusted when I sent her updates. And suddenly it all locked into place. Emily didn't hack my phone. She didn't go digging. She didn't need to. Jen gave her the photo. Jen helped her build the campaign. Jen knew. I stared at the wall for a long time after that. It wasn't just betrayal. It was collusion. And now it wasn't just my sister I had to confront. It was someone who smiled in my face for years while helping sell me as a sob story behind my back. They thought I wouldn't fight. They were wrong. It's strange what betrayal does to your sense of time. The day I listened to those recordings, Emily's voice and worse, Jen's, I felt like I was being yanked backward and forward at the same time. Back into that hospital bed, tubes in my arms, forward into something I couldn't yet name. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. I didn't text Jen. I didn't give her the grace of a warning. Instead, I forwarded the audio files to my attorney, Kara, and to the GoFundMe fraud department. Then I filed a second complaint, this time naming both Emily and Jen as co-conspirators in the misappropriation of my identity and images for financial gain. Kara took it from there. She'd been quietly collecting documentation for months, but now with the recordings, we had what she called a smoking gun. She contacted a local journalist who'd been investigating online medical scams, and within a week, a detailed article dropped. When cancer becomes currency, The quiet fraud behind one woman's rise to fame. They didn't use my full name, but anyone who knew Emily could connect the dots. The article hit harder than I expected. It wasn't just about me. It was about how stories, real pain, get twisted into performance for likes, for money, for clout. 2 days after the article ran, I got a voicemail from Jen. Her voice was shaking. She didn't apologize. She didn't explain. She just said, "I thought you'd never find out." I'm so sorry it turned out this way. I deleted the message. Emily, of course, doubled down. She posted a now-deleted video claiming she'd been misunderstood, that people were weaponizing her love for her sister. But her nonprofit didn't buy it. They issued a public statement suspending her pending a full ethics review. A week later, her name disappeared from their staff page. And the documentary? Gone. Quietly pulled. Quietly shelved. Quietly erased. But the damage had already rippled out. People who donated to the fundraiser demanded answers. A few even filed small claims to recover what they could. Meanwhile, I received a certified letter from GoFundMe. The campaign had been officially flagged as fraudulent. They would not pursue repayment from me and were investigating further disbursements. I'd done nothing wrong, but I already knew that. What I didn't expect came 2 weeks later. An email from Emily. "Nina, I know I don't deserve your time, but I just wanted to say I never meant to hurt you. I was drowning, and you were always the strong one. I thought if I told your story, people would see me as someone worth saving too." I read it twice. And then I closed the tab, because there's a difference between forgiveness and permission. She had neither. Instead, I focused on rebuilding, not just financially, though that took months of credit repair, new IDs, paperwork, but emotionally. I went back to therapy, started volunteering with a small advocacy group that helps victims of medical exploitation. It's quiet work, not glamorous, but it's real. And last month, something wild happened. I bought a house. It's small, with creaky floors and overgrown hedges. But it's mine. Mine in my name, with a mortgage I signed myself, and keys no one else has. When I planted tomatoes in the backyard last week, I thought, this is what survival looks like. Not a speech, not a documentary, just quiet roots finding their way back into the earth. If I've learned anything from this mess, it's that truth needs boundaries, even with family. Especially with family. Not everyone who loves your story deserves to tell it. And hey, if you've ever been through something like this, something that made you question everything and everyone, you're not alone. Really. Drop your story in the comments. I'll read everyone. And if mine resonated with you, hit subscribe. I don't share often, but when I do, it's always the whole truth. Thanks for listening to mine.